No one in this world wants to be in sorrow. People always try to keep grief away and build a happy life. Then why so much sadness in this world? Why is every person plagued with life problems? Then, is there no such thing as a happy life? Or is a happy life just our illusion and imagination? Today, I will tell you a story. After listening to it, you will learn what real sadness is. Why does sorrow come into our lives? And what is the way to get rid of the suffering of life forever? Once upon a time, there was a man named Sabal in a village. He was very depressed about his life. He was bitterly disappointed because he was not doing any work. The neighbors of his age were almost established and successful, while he would spend his days and nights only worrying. The family members would compare him with successful neighbors day and night. When acquaintances would ask him, "What do you do?" he was too shy to answer that he did nothing. Gradually, the anxiety increased to such an extent that he began to believe that he was just a burden on this earth and that nothing good will be achieved by him. What was the use of living then? He should die. He used to cry and cry to God all night and said, "Oh God, why is there so much sadness in my life? Why do you give me so much sorrow and pain?" One day, in a place in the city, he saw a Gurudev preaching to his disciples about the miseries of life. Gurudev was saying, sadness in human life is like Gurudev, which gives you the right analysis of life, which tells you the right way of life. You can learn life from the Guru in the form of sorrow, or you can spend your life crying and drowning in that sorrow. Sabal was steadily listening to that speech. At the end of the speech, Sabal went to Gurudev and asked, "Do you know that your speech is wrong? Sorrow in this life teaches nothing, only gives us pain. Speaking from my own experience, my life is sad, and nothing I have learned from sadness." Gurudev heard Sabal's words and smiled gently and said, "My son, is there sadness in your life?" Sabal told Gurudev about his life's sorrows and finally said, "You have no solution to my sorrows." Hearing all the incidents of Sabal, Gurudev laughed even louder and said, "The day when true sorrow comes into your life, please come to me. I have the solution." Saying this, Gurudev left. Sabal got extremely angry after hearing Gurudev's words, he said to himself, "Then my sorrow is not a real sorrow? What a hypocrite and false Gurudev." Sabal got very angry with himself and decided to start any small work. The next day, he started a small business with a money loan, and with hard work and patience, he started improving his work. He became a successful businessman in just 2 years. Now, all his family members were praising him all day long. All his friends began to come forward to help him. Now he had many new friends. They advised him to expand his business. They said, "You can become the biggest businessman in this city. More profit and more fame will be yours." Sabal planned to grow the business. He took a huge loan and joined the competition. To increase the amount of profit, he lowered the quality of goods in the business and even started conspiring to the detriment of other business. Worries about the business were increasing. Sleepless at night, he was suffering from the pain of worry all day long. One day, on the way to the city, he saw Gurudev's ashram. He went to Gurudev, bowed to him, and said, "Gurudev, you said that the day real sorrow comes into my life, you will solve the sorrow. I am truly sorry now." Gurudev smiled and asked, "When you came earlier, you had other sorrows. What did you learn from that sorrow?" Sabal said, "Gurudev, I learned from that sorrow that it is not enough to think, but to act upon the thought. Success does not come unless you reach the extreme limits of hard work and willpower, and people only value successful people." Gurudev smiled after listening to Sabal and said, "If real sorrow comes into your life, you come to me that day. I have the solution for that sorrow." Sabal was very surprised and thought, "Is this mountain of grief not the real grief? I may not be able to convey the extent of my grief to Gurudev." Sabal bowed to Gurudev with a gugger, a metallic pitcher full of gold coins, and said, "Gurudev, please tell me the way to get rid of my sorrow." Gurudev said, "This gold is of no use to me. Dig a hole under that tree in front and bury it, and come again on the day when the real sorrow comes to you." Sabal left the ashram after burying the gugger under a tree as per Gurudev's advice. Then Sabal's business situation began to deteriorate very quickly. The burden of huge debts began to mount, and beloved friends began to pressurize the repayment of the loan and even threatened to kill him. Finally, all the business properties were auctioned, and Sabal came to the street. When he asked his father for help, his father said, "I can't give my little wealth and money. What will I do in the future?" Sabal understood that there is no one else in hard times. When life suffering became unbearable, he thought that death was the only solution. And when he went to commit suicide, he remembered Gurudev. Sabal went to meet Gurudev for the last time, bowed to Gurudev and said, Gurudev, I can't bear such pain anymore. Death is my only way. Save me, Gurudev. Gurudev said, come on the day when the real sorrow comes. Sabal got angry and said, since I met you, you have been talking of real sorrow. Is my sorrow fake? Are you kidding me about my misfortune? Gurudev said, dear Sabal, what did you learn from this sorrow? Sabal again calmly said, Gurudev, I have learned no one is there for you in hard times. If one stands by one's side in hard times, that is the best friend. One should cherish him for life. I also learned that we should work with honesty and patience. If one is greedy and loses honesty, he is sure to fall. Gurudev dug the soil under that tree and picked up the gugger full of gold coins from the hole and handed it to Sabal and said, this time this gold will help you a little. Come to me only when you are in real trouble. Sabal bowed and left. Sabal sold that gold coins and started a business again with great honesty. Though a little late, he became a successful businessman again. This time, he was living a very happy life. But the cycle of happiness and sadness always revolves around human life. The sudden death of his father and mother on the same day brought darkness to Sabal's life. Sabal loved his parents more than his life. Thousands of questions arose in Sabal's mind after seeing two beloved ones reduced to ashes. When he returned home, he felt lonely for the first time in his life. As soon as he looked at his father's wealth, he remembered he had quarreled with his father over this money. Father carefully kept the property in his chest until the day before his death. But today, everything is useless. For what is this rat race of life? For what is this race for wealth? If the man does not exist, he felt very restless. Many unknown questions were crowding inside his head. Everything seemed to be mixed with sadness and pain. Sabal reached Gurudev without a moment's delay. Gurudev asked Sabal, "What's the matter? Is there any sorrow in your mind?" Sabal said, "Gurudev, everything is fine. Everything is happy and peaceful. But today, I am the saddest person in this world because of the loss of my parents. I can't bear this sadness any longer." Gurudev said, "Death is very natural. Everyone in this world will die one day. You too will die one day. Maybe tomorrow or today. maybe soon. Sabal was surprised and said, "What are you saying, Gurudev? I am still young. I'll die too." Gurudev smiled and said, "Oh dear Sabal, do not live with this false notion that death comes only to the world. How many young people die in front of the world? Death knows no age." Sabal bowed to Gurudev and went back. Back home he felt very bored. How many questions were coming into his mind. When death is inevitable, why am I doing these things? For whom am I running day and night in the race for happiness? What is the purpose of this birth? A few days in the world just for suffering and living? Who am I? What is my real action? Sabal again went to Gurudev and told Gurudev all the questions in his mind. Gurudev smiled gently and said, "Today is the first time real sorrow has arisen in your life. This is the real sadness, that you do not know who I am. Why was I born? What is the purpose of life? Why am I alive?" Sabal said, "Gurudev, please solve my sorrow." Gurudev said, "What do we gather in our whole life?" Sabal said, "Gurudev, all through our life, we only gather wealth, name, and fame, and relationship." Gurudev said, "Can we take anything among these with us?" Sabal said, "No, Gurudev, we cannot take anything. My parents could not take anything with them." Gurudev said, "All the things we run after, all the things we spend our lives hoping to collect, are actually just our illusion. We don't even look at real wealth. If you can combine them, you can know yourself. We distribute our life among love, world, wealth, status, prestige, caste, and religion to cheat others and to cheat ourselves. We break life into pieces by fulfilling thousands of such desires. We cannot awaken our consciousness. We exhaust our inner vitality in vain, not even trying to look inside ourselves for a single moment of life. In reality, a person spends his whole life looking for a solution, but he will never find the solution, because in reality, it is not a problem. Everything is just a form of excess desire and demand, and its karma. Man wanders from one state of misery to another only because of himself. The only solution is to know yourself, to know the purpose of living. For that, you have to regain the vitality lost from this world. Know your inner self, meditate, immerse yourself completely." Sabal asked, "Gurudev, then should I leave the world? Should I not consolidate wealth? Should I not have a love affair?" Gurudev smiled gently and said, When you know yourself through constant meditation, bring yourself to complete stability and walk on the path of supreme meditation, then you will become like a solid mountain. Even if 2 or 4 small stones roll down, you will remain a solid mountain. Then your will and wealth will all be controlled. Sabal bowed down and said, Gurudev, you have ended my eternal suffering today. From now on, sadness will be nothing in my life. I will center myself. I realize that this human body has the strongest life force. I will awaken it, Gurudev. Dear friends, we ask the Lord, why so much sadness in my life? The answer is, God takes us to that suffering again and again so that we can learn from it and make life better. If you don't know yourself, if you can't control yourself, if you can't meditate on yourself, you have to spend your life as a slave of misery. Good luck to all. Thank you.